Start recording. We're ready? Okay, Matthew, don't say anything bad now. I am starting to record.
Okay. Let me share my screen.
Thanks, Judy, for the suggestion.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm gonna go over how to create views in Coupa. The main primary views that I'm going to show everybody how to create is pending receipt, pending approval, and rejected. So to start off, to create a view inside Coupa under Invoices, so you want to click to Invoices, and then under View, if you hit the drop down, there are a ton that are out here, but it's good to create one just for you, and label it under your property initials. So to do that, all the way down to the very bottom of the list, and there's one that says create view. So you're going to click on that, and when it does, it gives you the ability to create a view. And you can do this for anything, for any of the options that are available, which are down below. Any of the columns, you can add, remove things any way you like. And then what you want to name is you want to name it however you want to name it. I'm going to name it. I'm going to do one actually for corporate, so I'll put court pending approval. So I can view everything that's for corporate pending approval.
So Matthew, can I ask a question? So is there a best practice? Because I know now with so many properties in Coupa, is it a best practice as far as nomenclature that they'd be able to go right to it? Should they start off with their property initials or a property number?
Yes, I would prefer. I would prefer either the property numbers, which I could do 1,000, which is corporate. You can either best practice probably be the company number. Probably the best practice for the whole thing. That way you can easily identify which ones are yours for your property.
Thank you.
Yeah. The other good practice that I actually like to get into is the next section right here, which is visibility. You want to make it only for you. If other people want to view this in your property, it's best practice to have them create one themselves, and they can make it identical. If you select for everyone, this means that everybody in the company is able to see it. And that's where that list grew so much, is because before everybody was creating views and making it for everybody to view. And so the list would grow more and more and more. So it's easy. It's the best thing to do is to mark it to only visible by you. And you're the only person that can view that. Now with it, when I created the use tax views, originally that's something I did. I kept it only visible by me. That's why, and until I got an email saying people couldn't view it, and I had to change it. Because I wanted everybody to have visibility to the use tax stuff. But if you're looking at stuff specifically for your company, it's always good just to leave it as visibility is only you. That's important. The next section is conditions. There's a couple different conditions you can have. You can match all conditions or match at least one. For what we're going to do is, and most of the views that you guys are going to have are very simple. You want it to be just match all conditions. So for filter by, you can have different ways. There's a bunch of different ways you can filter things by. This will limit what your view is. This is very similar when you hit advanced on your and any view in Coupa. This is very similar to the advanced section here. Because I'm doing pending approval, I'm going to do filter by. I'm going to go down to status. And what I'm going to do is only want the invoices that are pending approval. So I'm going to find pending approval here. Click on that. This will only show me invoices pending approval. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the plus sign. Because I'm doing company 1000, so I'm going to come up and do account company code is, and I'm going to do 1000. So what this does is going to pull only invoices for company 1000 that are pending approval. You can do, I believe, up to 6 different filters depending on what you're looking for. This is all I'm looking for, so I'm going to leave it just like this. For the other ones, I would do pending receipt, which is the next one, and then also rejected, which is rejected here. Those are the other ones I'm going to go over. Then for the columns, this is what you're going to see on the screen. This is the different columns you see here. That's what those are. That's what the columns are here. So the first thing I always tend to do is make sure I only pull the one company. So I'm going to pull the account company code. I usually list it first. You can change any order you want how these things go. Like if I wanted the status first, I know exactly what I'm pulling is pending approvals. So I have the status first, the company code. And then I tend to like the supplier next. You can also put supplier number on here, which is one of the drop-down lists, or one of the lists down here. Supplier number, if I want to do supplier DBA. There's a bunch of different things down here that you can pull. You can have the terms, which in Coupa, that's not a true terms. Because we always go what's inside Oracle that overrides everything. Then you can, the other thing that's important too is you could see who is it currently with for pending approval. And this is the current approver. That's always good, so you know who to contact. The one thing that it always has the due date, but never has the invoice date when you first generate a view. So I always like to add the invoice date as well. And then everything else is basically what I have is what I need. It's already there. The due date I don't care about, so I can remove that one. So it's like I said, it's easy to put it in and take it out. Like I said, I do the status, the company code, the supplier, and then I do like the supplier number. DBA I can always put in there as well. Then I have the invoice number. Then I tend to do like the invoice date, so I know what the date is, the total. Delivery method, it's one of the ones that tend to be out there. I don't tend to go in there and keep it there. I actually remove it because for this particular view, I don't care how it comes in. I just want to see where it's at.
Matthew, do you see Kyle asked a question about editing after they're created?
Yes, Kyle, yes, you can. You are able to edit the views after they are created. Just to answer your question, yes. And then you have like action is like where you edit or you know, invoices. I tend to not keep it on here because I'm just creating a view, and I mean I could leave it on there for like rejected, so I can go in there and just automatically click on edit and fix what's needed to be done. But for ones that are pending approval, I don't find it necessary. So I'll remove that, and then the current approver. So this is usually how I build how I would tend to build the pending approval list here. But like I said, you can easily add things and remove things, depending on what you feel is necessary. Then when the last thing you can do is all the way at the bottom, you can sort it by certain things. Like I could sort it by invoice date, and I can do it ascending order, which will put the oldest one on top. That way you know which ones you want to hit first. Or you can even do it by the total, which will give you the most, and you can do it by descending, which will give you the highest dollar amount on top, because those are the ones I feel are more important. Then all you do is hit save, and then it will save that view for you. And it'll bring you right to the view when you hit save. So again, I have everything to make sure everything says pending approval. This is the company code to verify that this is all I'm working on. These are the different suppliers. They're DBAs. So examples, SG Gaming is formerly known as Bally's Gaming, so now it's just SG Gaming. This is good for people to look and see, if they're looking for names. This is a good way to make sure you have the right stuff. The supplier number. And then you have your invoice number, the invoice date, and your total dollar amount. As you can tell, the largest one is on top, and who it currently is with for approval. And then what you could do for this then, at this point, for this one, you can actually, once you have the view as you like, you can easily export this into Excel. So I can do that. And what it will do is it will, depending on how many invoices there are, if they're less, if it's more than 100 invoices, then they'll email it to you, and you'll get this lovely email, which I happen to have a sample of one. They'll have an email that looks like this, and so you have a report ready for you, and you just double click it, open it, and then it will open up a little zip drive here. And when you open that Excel worksheet, it will actually come out in Excel, which I have one here for you guys. It'll look like this. This is a different review. This is a reject view. But I just want to make sure I have you guys see what it looks like. But that's what the emails look like. But this one, because it had less than 100 invoices, so I'm gonna click on this to download it. And this is the view right here. This is actually telling me this is exactly what I had inside Coupa. But this view is just, it's out here in Excel. And so I'm enable editing. And what I could do from here is, like, the first thing I'd like to do is to take the total column and format it into dollars, because it comes over just in a regular text form. So once this is done, once it finished what it's doing, so I highlight the whole column and I just change it to dollars, so I know exactly how much I'm looking at. And then what you can do, if you want to filter this, you can filter it by the people. So I'm gonna see which ones are at AP audit. And this, if this was a person, then I would send this to that person. If it's something that's old, like this is from 2009, so it's not that old. But like if I want to look at the one, it was Carlos. Like if I want to look at these ones for Carlos, these aren't too bad. They're basically like almost roughly a week old, so it's not too bad. In Scientific Gaming, they're 30 days anyway, so it's not that bad. But if it's something that seems really old, then I would reach out to the approver possibly and send them a list and say, here are the invoices that are pending your approval. If you'd like to approve them, please go ahead, and then they can do that in Coupa. So this is what I tend to use. This is what we would use for anything that's pending approval, so you can see where they are and who needs to approve it. The other views that are very similar, like as Kyle was asking about editing invoices, it's a good thing for me to, or a good way for me to show you is just go ahead and edit pending approval, and I want to make it for pending receipt. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit this view. I can just change this up here to pending receipt, Then for the status, I just want to change it to pending receipt. I still want the same company because that's the company I'm looking for. The columns I'm okay with. Current approver because pending receipt's not out with the approver. So I'm going to leave that alone because I don't need that. I do want to add in the requested by or the requester because that will give me who can approve it or who needs to receive it is the requester. And then once you edit something, there's a couple ways you can do. You could save it, which will get rid of your original view altogether, or you can save as new. So I'm going to go ahead and save as new. So I have my pending receipt view, but as my drop down, I also have my pending approval, which is the same view as it was previously. So it's always good to build one view and then you can edit it and create another view and just save as new. So you have both views there. So this is the pending receipt. And the reason why I like pending the requester is because for these ones, these are all new invoice dates. But if these were like a month old, then I could possibly email Jim and ask him, "Did you receive this receive this this product?" And if you did, please go in and receive the PO. And so that's a quick way to actually go to create a whole different view is just to go ahead and edit and change the name. And then so the last one I'm going to do is rejects. So again, I'm just going to keep this. I'm going to edit this and just reject it. So I know which ones are rejected. And then so again, I would change my status to rejected. Then for this, a couple things I would do. I don't requester, you can still keep it in there. It's up to you. For me, under rejected, it's usually something we have to handle. So I usually don't worry about the requester. So all the information here is fine. A couple things I want to add is I'm going to add the action button. So I can go in and actually just edit it myself. The other good thing to add is also comments as well. Comments is good because there's two ways you can get the comments. You can either go into the invoices each one at a time and see the comments, or if you add it as a column, you're actually able to view them on the screen. Just let everybody know when you reject an invoice, that anybody rejects an invoice, they have to put a comment in. That's actually a Coupa requirement. So that's why I always tend to try to put comments in. So I can, if somebody rejects something, I know the reason why it's rejected and I can go in and fix it. So this is usually all I tend to do. Then I go down and I would hit save as new. And what it does is shows rejected status here, the company code, the supplier, all the same stuff. Again, you have your edit button here, and you have comments here. Like this first one, it says route to Jerry lunch first. So all I would do was I would edit this invoice and submit it to, I would make sure that, it needs to hit Jerry first. I would go in and change it.
So Matthew, this group of accounts payable folks should all have the ability to edit. So they should all be able to view that pencil when they're opening up invoices. So if anyone has issues, just let us know, because that's a key part of being able to respond to rejects or pending receipts with comments, being able to edit the invoice.
Yeah. And actually, I will probably fix this first one since it's supposed to go to you, Jerry. So you would just go in there, edit it, just an example. So you hit edit, and you would see everything here, and I can see exactly why, because I put the request as Leslie Parker, which shouldn't be. So I put clear, and actually I will put Jerry Lynch. Because I know his limit is 10,000. so it should go to him. Otherwise, I would put someone below him. Like I would probably put Mary Seski or Yolanda Mertz or even myself, because I know that my stuff will flow to Jerry. But because I know Jerry's limit, because he's a director, I'm going to put him there. So this is below his level, so he will receive it. So once you make the change for anything rejected, there's a couple ways you can redo it. Under more actions, you can either restart approvals, which this one I'm going to, because what this will do is it will take the approval and it will start over again based on the requester. Or the other one that everybody has option to is continue approvals. What that does is if it's like the wrong GL account, if somebody said, you know, charges to this GL account instead, you would make your GL account change, and then you can hit continue approvals so that it doesn't go to the person, or it doesn't really, it won't start over. It will go to the same person that rejected the invoice. But this particular one, I'm going to restart. So that it won't go back to Leslie, it would actually go to Jerry. And so now it restarted from the beginning, which means it went to Jerry.
Thanks. I'm sure Leslie appreciates that, by the way.
Yes. And so any of these right here, any like these ones, I would probably do me research to find out why people reject them. But that's all you do. You find out read the reason why, because everybody has, when they reject something, they all have to put a comment on it. And so you would have to, you know, you can read it and you can see what's going on. It's something you can fix right away, like that one I just fixed. Again, you just hit the edit thing there. Hit the little pencil to edit it, and it will take you there. So.
You know, one thing I've learned about rejects and as well as pending receipts with comments, you know, the bulk of the corrections may be 5 in each category, but it is a free text field, and sometimes you're going to have to just reach out to the business owner to try to get clarification on what exactly they're asking you to do.
Yep. And there are times, like for this one down here, this one for Crown Plaza Reading Hotel, I'm not sure why I got this invoice and what it is. This one, instead of hitting the edit button, I actually would open the invoice to see what it is, verify, you know, who rejected it, because it will tell you. Because this one, like, I can go down to I actually hit comments here. It'll take me down to the bottom. And Kathy Green, she rejected it, and she wants to know what it is. So I can go back up. I would pull up the invoice, do a little more research. If it's something that should go to her, then there's a couple things you could do. You can either tag the person in here on the comment, and you do that by putting the @ sign, and then you can put in the person's name, and it'll populate. And then you can type a message. It'll go directly to them once you hit add private comment. Or the other thing, I would just email Kathy Green and explain to her that I'm sending this back out for her because this is the reason why she needs to approve it, or this is what it's for. This one I didn't do research, so I'm not gonna resend it. But again, this will be a good example where after you edit it, you would hit continue approvals if it's supposed to go to Kathy. And she questioned it, so I would put what the answer was, and I would just hit continue approvals, and it would go to her. You know, it'll go back to her. So that's basic. That's the basic views for everybody. And again, once you basically create one, again, like I said, edit it, and then you can just change the name and change what you require, and it makes it easy. You can also just go ahead and edit a view altogether. So that's the basics of doing reviews, creating views in Coupa. And those are the 3 major views that I recommend everybody creates, because it makes it easier for you guys to go in and review things that are out there. So vendors won't be calling us asking questions. Are there any questions from anybody? Rachel, can you delete a view after you make it? If you make the view, yes, you can. I'm actually going to delete these views. So I would just go into edit view, go down to the bottom and hit delete. Hit OK. And that view is no longer there. And the other two are still there that I created, but the rejected one is not there. Again, this is the reason why it's also good that you limit yourself to it, because that way, if you happen to leave the company for, move on to a better job somewhere else or something else, who knows, then nobody else will have that view to nobody else is able to delete that view. So if you make it only for yourself, it's easier, because nobody else will see it, and it makes it easy. It will keep the view clean. That was a lot of issues with some of these old ones out here. Is these were created by somebody that's no longer with the company, and we can edit it, but we can't delete it. Amber asked, how can you create the view? Amber, just let you know, this is recorded, so this will be posted out there as well. But to create a view, you just go to view and go all the way down to the bottom, and there's a button that says create view. And once you click on that, it'll bring you again to.
Yeah, we'll send the training tape out.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So yeah, like I said, we'll send the training video out. Any other questions or comments on the views? I think, as I've said before, you're going to love these Coupa reporting capabilities. So very interested in your feedback as you start to go in and practice and begin to create views. Beyond that, I mean, you're now almost approaching 1 month in Coupa. You now are officially experts in Coupa invoice processing. But are there any other open questions around accounts payable processes while we're on the phone?
Hey, Jerry. This is Ellen in Dayton.
Hey, Ellen.
Hi. And we're still not 100% sure on what we're to do with the items, the invoices that are coming through. They go into Coupa, they're entered into Coupa, and not the invoices, it's ordered through Coupa, and we get the invoices, but they are paid through FinTech. Is that a time to discuss this now? I know I sent you an email on it, or should we discuss that another offline?
No, we can talk about it. And Mary's on the phone. She's diligently now working through all the direct debits in Oracle, and FinTech is a form of direct debit. And we owe you still a best practice, but where it stands now, I mean, you have to put the invoices into Coupa that are FinTech related so they can be matched against the POs. But for FinTech related items, the best practice right now that's worked is just send us the FinTech report on a weekly basis. You still have to go in, enter the invoices, label them as direct debit. But we found that, rather than you entering, because FinTech tends to be a little more voluminous than other types of direct debits, that getting that report once a week has really been helpful. Mary, anything to add on that?
So you're going, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, no, I mean, that really is the easiest way. And we are requesting weekly, because if we get these reports from everyone at the end of the month, it's too much to process before we close. So if we could just get into a habit of once a week sending all of these liquor payments that are FinTech, and I would say even some of the other liquor payments that you guys have, if it's outside of FinTech, but they're still direct debits in the same type of manner, it would be great to get those weekly.
Okay. That sounds fine, and that is for all the invoices that are clearing through the bank, right?
Yes, your
Right.
FinTech report, if it looks like what we have here, should list all of the invoices with the associated payment with all the dates and everything on it. So it should be easy for us to match up.
Okay, so that sounds fine. The other thing is you said as far as entering the actual invoices into Coupa.
Yes, definitely. Yeah,
I
you still-
thought we were supposed to send them because they have POs associated with them to the Symbio for them to enter.
Well, one thing we've talked about on past calls is when it comes to invoices that are for direct debits, that you would continue to enter those into Coupa so you could label them as direct debits and we could pick up any notes. And we
Okay.
thought at least starting off, that would probably be the best way to handle them. Because FinTech won't, or Symbio won't have the ability to label them as direct debits. I mean, they'll still get them into Coupa. But at this point, that's where we left off on that.
Okay, so that's, I guess, where the confusion on our end is just, there's already a PO in there for, let's say, Heidelberg or one of the beer or wine. And then if we get the invoice, we'd go in and just put it in as a non-PO or apply it somehow to the actual PO that's out there.
Oh, yeah,
guess
now these are Coupa POs, right, Ellen?
Correct.
So yeah, you want to process these invoices against those Coupa POs.
Okay, and when you say process them, how do I do that? Because they're already, there's already a PO in there.
Right. Right.
And I thought I had asked about, can we if you open the PO, can you apply it, the payment? And I thought we were told, no, we shouldn't do that. That would be you guys or AP that would.
Well, again, when I say, and there in prior sessions, when Matthew has gone through the process of processing an invoice against a Coupa PO, I mean, there is a training video out there. So I encourage you to go take a look at that. And so, yeah, you process the invoice first into Coupa to match it against the purchase order so that it's properly received and any exceptions are cleared through Coupa. When that invoice is fully approved in Coupa, it will go to Oracle. And then that's where Mary will come in using your FinTech reports and she'll apply those payments in Oracle, same as you used to do it in Great Plains. But the starting point is to make sure that invoice is processed through Coupa against the purchase order.
Okay.
Does that make sense? And if you have an occasion to go back and look at that video, and if we have to follow up and just walk through the steps, we'd be more than happy to do that.
No, that's fine. I just, like I said, we were on my end as far as how to do it. I thought if we have POs and we are receiving here in our AP department local, anything with a PO, we would send it to Symbio and they would enter it and take care of it.
Yeah, we may, Ellen, tell you, we may switch that at some point in time, but we thought starting off until we really had a best practice around direct debits, that if it related to direct debits, that you would enter those into Coupa and label them as direct debits. At some point down the road, yes, certainly if an invoice has a PO on it, Symbio can process those invoices very efficiently into Coupa. But we really wanted to be satisfied that we got caught up on direct debits and nothing fell through the cracks.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll go out and get that training and go from there. Thank you.
And let us know. We'll be happy to follow up and answer any questions. And, like I said, at some point we may change that to take advantage of Symbio. But for now, any other PO, any other invoice that has a Coupa PO on it, you can send it to Symbio. And I hope that everyone's finding that they're being very helpful.
Okay.
And then we're going to come out with a best practice around direct debits, and we'll look at that to see if there's an advantage of sending those to Symbio. But we really, I mean, in this first month, we really spent a lot of time making sure that our files in Oracle are set up right, that we know which suppliers are direct debits, which ones aren't. And so having those notes in Coupa are very helpful. I think once things settle down, we'll relook at trying to take more advantage of the Symbio resource.
Okay. Sounds good.
No, I'm glad you asked because, again, the message on direct debits, in the first month, it was difficult because we really only solidified things towards the end of the month, and then we scurried at the end of the month trying to get everything applied, and we left some stuff hanging. So now that we're coming out of month close, really for all properties, just making sure you're feeding us those invoices through Coupa for the direct debits as you go. And I know at the end of February, you'll find that it'll be much cleaner.
Okay, sounds good. Cross our
Thanks,
fingers.
Helen.
Thank you.
Okay, couple questions from the chat. Judy asked if we didn't upload the complete backup to an invoice, how would you do it? How would you go back in, add the remaining backup? It depends on what status the invoice is in. If it's approved, you can just go in and hit the edit button, like here, to hit the pencil, and then you just attach the files here, like you would, and then you just go down to the bottom and hit save. If they're pending approval, what you want to do is you want to withdraw the invoice. So like this one, I would go in, click on invoice number, and then at the bottom, actually down at the very bottom, there's a little thing here that says withdraw. So you withdraw the invoice, and then you can attach it and then submit it again for approval for approvals. And then the other one, the pending receipt ones, those ones you can go ahead and edit and change those as well. Robert, are SPOs processed the same way as POs? Yes, they are. And then Rosalind says the video showing how to input invoices with POs into Coupa. That was part of the initial training, and I believe Jerry does have that video somewhere.
Yeah, I'll send a link. What we did is we moved it into the whole Coupa training package. There should be an AP segment, but after the call, I'll send out a link to that training documentation, and I'll also put this new training video as far as the views into the same library.
And then Rachel, I don't have an edit button once the invoice is approved. How would I edit it then? I'm not, Jerry, do they have approval? Do they have ability to edit once it's approved? I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to follow up to make sure the role is right to do that.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a follow-up.
Yep. Bob asked if SPOs can be sent to Symbio, and yes, they can, as long as the PO numbers are marked on the invoice.
Yeah, please feel free to load up Symbio with those invoices that have POs on it. Yeah, so I think we've had a couple comments about that edit button available after the invoice is approved, so we'll make sure we give you some feedback on that.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions, comments today? Oh.
Bob asked if the PO is not printed on the invoice. Is okay if they handwrite it?
Absolutely. Yep, definitely, Bob. All right, if there's no other questions, we'll let everybody go. We got a couple of follow-ups that we'll get back to you on.
I have one. I'm sorry. I just got into the meeting. Are y'all still handing positive pay exceptions in Wells Fargo? I'm sorry. I just joined the meeting and I have a positive pay.
Oh, yes, we are, Pam.
Okay. Thank you.
And I am happy to report we seem to be through the issues we had early in January with some of the checks. So they're dwindling down. Happy to report. So
Okay.
positive pay should the exception should really be minimal going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.